Hey guys, welcome back to Bible with Becks. Today we're going to be diving into the topic. You can see from the title, I'm talking about the truth that it's hard to be in leadership and to be speaking out in faith. It is hard. I find it hard for various reasons, and that can be from anything. Sometimes I feel really connected with God, and He's blessing me with His presence even more than normal. And then it's, so exciting to film a video. And then there are days when I don't feel that. And that doesn't mean He's not close with me. It just means I don't necessarily feel it, or I don't recognize it as much. Sometimes I'm just having a bad day, or I have a headache. All of those things can make it hard to be somebody who's always like at the moment I'm filming videos, but when I do stuff in church I'm going to the front, so I'm in front of people. And for me it's not necessarily like putting on a show, because I don't want to put on a show. If I'm going up at the front and I don't feel like overly joyful, I'm not gonna fake it and be like, oh yeah guys, like let's go. Like I still want to worship and I still want to lift people up, but I want to do it in truth and not in a fakeness. And it's not about getting all dolled up and getting my face on. I've been loving that I've been filming these videos, and I'm not worried about getting all dolled up and doing all that stuff, because as much as that is fun and that's great and there's nothing wrong with it, it's also just nice to be fully undistracted by that and just be able to film videos sharing knowledge that I think God's passed on to me and just my experience with faith. But it's hard, and one of the reasons that it's really hard is sin. We are sinful creatures, and this earth is very enticing to us because we're not really from here. We're supposed to be eternal beings. We're beings that are supposed to be, but we're created to be at one with God and living in His holy presence. And then there are things on this earth that entice us. And it's funny because I didn't realize until actually I sat down and was looking at what I wanted to talk about from the Bible today, that I realized it matches so well with the verse of the day. Where it was talking about how people are dragged away and sin because of they're being enticed by the world and their own evil desires. And I'm not saying that every single sin is you have some deep-rooted evil desire, but we all have desires. We're all sinful in nature, and I think it's something that needs to be said more, because I spent a long time thinking that anytime I sinned or fell short, that disqualified me from sharing faith, or it disqualified me from leadership, or just being a Christian. But we do make mistakes, and we are sinful in nature, and it is hard. And I think there's different faculties to that. But I just want to share today with you kind of my journey with sin, getting past the shame feelings that you have to actually continue with leadership. So I guess to begin with, sin is not a good thing, and I'm not at all saying here that it's okay to sin and then also do leadership, because the Bible's quite clear that actually you're going to be judged more harshly because people are watching you, and you can't be a hypocrite. So you can't sit and say you should never ever swear, and then actually in your personal life you just like a sailor swearing all day long. You can't do that. You have to practice what you preach, and people are going to watch you more closely, and I think you feel the weight of it. I appreciate that, because I think it keeps me on level ground by knowing that if I've made a mistake, I don't feel like a hypocrite, but just knowing that, wait, people are watching me, people are expecting me to be somebody of God, so they're looking at me and kind of seeing my reflection, and am I really reflecting Christ, or am I just reflecting my sinful, selfish nature? And so it keeps me grounded, and it keeps me motivated to work through my sin and come to the other side with Christ to overcome them. But just today I had a situation, and I just felt like I succumbed to that sin, that enticement, that desire, and I felt awful. And it made me think, I don't even want to film this video. I don't know why I'm doing all this stuff on YouTube, because I'm a sinful person. I make mistakes. I'm telling people about Christ. And it hit me that so many people in the Bible were just like me. And they were still leaders, and God still used them, and He changed their lives. He can work through sin, but it takes commitment and time, and you need to give yourself grace. It's really hard to not look at that and be like, well, there must be people out there who are speaking that are blameless, and they're doing so good and they don't sin. But we've been told the only sinless, perfect person is Jesus. And so we're all going to have times where we fight something. And it made me realize that if I gave up doing these videos because I've made mistakes, because I've succumbed to sin in that moment, then actually I'm giving in to Satan. I'm letting him take my voice away. I'm letting him put me in a dark corner instead of standing in the light and saying, actually, yeah, I do struggle sometimes, and it makes me feel like I can't come and tell you about Christ. But actually, that's Satan stopping me from sharing the love of Christ with you, highlighting the truth that we are sinful, and that if you're at home in the same boat as me, feeling like you're not a good enough Christian because you've made mistakes, or you keep making a mistake, or you're working through a sin right now, I want to shed the light to say I'm working on that too, and like we're in this journey together to live as holy and righteous lives as we can, to reflect Christ as close as possible while we walk on this earth until he takes us home again. And so I want to encourage you with 2 stories in the Bible of 2 different people who were in kind of leadership roles and evangelistic roles that made mistakes, and God just used them, and he forgave them and redeemed them, and they went on to do incredible things. And I do believe that he will do that for us. And even if I overcome one sin, something else might come in the future because of my human nature, because I live on this earth. And I'm not going to give up speaking the truth of God, or give up trying to overcome sin with Christ, trying to do it. I can't do it on my own. I have to do it with him. I'm not going to give up and just give in. I'm going to keep going. So I hope these 2 stories encourage you. So the first one is Moses. One day after Moses had grown up, he went out to where his own people were and watched them hard at labor. He saw an Egyptian beating a Hebrew, one of his own people. Looking this way and that and seeing that no one was there, he killed the Egyptian and hid him in the sand. The next day he went out and saw 2 Hebrews fighting. He asked the one in the wrong, "Why are you hitting your fellow Hebrew?" The man said, "Who made you the ruler over us and the judge? Are you thinking of killing me as you killed the Egyptian?" Then Moses was afraid and thought, "What I did must have become known." When Pharaoh heard this, he tried to kill Moses, but Moses fled from Pharaoh and went to live in Midian, where he sat down by a well. Moses made a huge mistake. In his anger, he was enticed and incited, and his evil desire as such came out. He committed a crime. He committed a sin. And he fled. And, it says there that what I did must have become made known, and he ran away. And that's like, when it comes into the light, we feel so much shame and guilt. We want to run. And that's kind of what it felt like for me, that I had brought my own sin into the light myself to sit down and confess, like, I've just done something wrong, and I'm so mad at myself for doing something wrong, and I'm sorry for doing something wrong, but now I want to run and hide in my shame, and I can't look up and film this video. But God calls you to keep going, to keep walking that walk with him, and don't give up, and don't let Satan win because you've made a mistake. And so just a while later, this is what happens with Moses. This is Moses 3, and this is quite a much longer set of verses. It says this: "Now Moses was tending flock of Jethro, his father-in-law, the priest of Midian, and he led the flock to the far side of the wilderness and came to Horeb, the mountain of God. There the angel of the Lord appeared to him in flames of fire from within a bush. Moses saw through the bush was on fire, though it did not burn up. So Moses thought, I will go over and see this strange sight, why the bush doesn't burn up. When the Lord saw that he had gone over to look, God called to him from within the bush, Moses, Moses. And Moses said, Here I am. Do not come any closer, God said. Take off your sandals, for the place where you stand is holy ground. He said, I am the God of your father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob. At this, Moses hid his face because he was afraid to look at God. The Lord said, I have indeed seen the misery of my people in Egypt. I've heard them crying out because of their slave drivers, and I'm concerned about their suffering. So I've come down to rescue them from the hand of the Egyptians and to bring them up out of that land into good and spacious land, a land flowing with milk and honey, and the home of the Canaanites, Hittites, Amorites, Perizzites, Hivites, and Jebusites. And now the cry of the Israelites has reached me, and I have seen the way Egyptians are oppressing them. So now, go, I am sending you to Pharaoh to bring my people, the Israelites, out of Egypt. But Moses said to God, Who am I that I should go to Pharaoh and bring the Israelites out of Egypt? And God said, I will be with you, And this will be a sign to you that it is I who have sent you. And when you have brought the people out of Egypt, you will worship God on the mountain. God didn't leave Moses to sit in his shame, to live the rest of his life feeling bad about the mistake that he made. But he sent an angel of the Lord to appear in a bush that's on fire. And then when Moses saw that, God spoke to him because he was pleased with him, that he gave his attention. And then he said to him, I'm choosing you to go and save my people. And the best part is when Moses says, who am I that should go and do this? Because he knew, but one, he was a sinner, that how he didn't, he was like, how would I know enough? How am I confident enough? Like, why would they listen to me when they knew what I did when I killed somebody? And God says, I will be with you, and this will be the sign that it is I who have sent you. It's all in God's power. He's redeeming him. He's giving him that way forward. And so it reminds me that God's telling me, like, I am with you and I'm the one asking you to film these videos. And so I want you to lift up your eyes to me, to work through that sin, and don't give into it, and don't let it be the stumbling block that stops you. Because lots of people stop serving, they stop going to church, they stop growing in their faith because of sin. We all commit sins, and yes, it's so painful when we do because it puts a block between us and God. But if you just give up and walk away, you're never going to develop a relationship. You've got to keep going. You've got to keep pushing. And it is hard when you're in leadership because, people are looking at you and you want to be perfect, but you're not. And so this story encourages me that, Moses was redeemed and he did incredible things and moved forward. And I'm sure that he had to work through his sinful nature, that anger with Christ. And so it encourages me that I will be able to work through my issues, my sins, and keep going and not give up, because he is calling me, like when that burning bush, to come and speak and lift my eyes. And so another person in the Bible that we hear about is Peter. Peter does lots of amazing things and he loves Jesus, but when Jesus is crucified, he denies him. He denies him 3 times. It's really painful for Peter. He's so hurt that he's done that, and it could have completely stumbled him to not go on and be such an amazing evangelist. But Jesus actually reinstates him, and he asks him 3 times if he loves him. He says, feed my lambs, take care of my sheep, feed my sheep. He's saying to him, I want you to go out and tell people about me. I want you to keep evangelizing. I want you to keep feeding them the bread of life, which is Jesus. I want you to keep doing that. He tells him that. And then it goes on, and there's another section, and he actually starts to say, Peter starts asking about what what's going to happen to other disciples. And Jesus kind of says to him basically, why are you worried? The line he uses is, if I want him to remain alive until I return, what is that to you? You must follow me. So it's kind of like also telling me that I shouldn't be looking at other leaders and thinking, well, they're perfect and they don't sin, and I can't do that, and what about them? Like, no. He's saying to me, what is it to you about other people, and whether they've sinned or what their sin is or what their struggle is? You must follow me. So I must follow Jesus. I need to follow him. And if that means that, I'm struggling to find the courage to get up because I feel like I'm, ashamed of myself, I need to go to Christ and ask him to strengthen me, to help me to break the chain of that sin, but also to keep going, not to give up and want to go and run away and hide, because Satan wants me to stop. He wants me to stop with these videos. He wants me to stop sharing the truth of Jesus. He would win if I sat down in my sin and in my shame. And Jesus is saying, no, focus on me and don't look at other people and worry about, if you're in any way leadership or you're worried about speaking out, don't worry about what people think of you. Don't worry about the appearance that you may have. Don't worry about other people that are leaders that look like they're doing perfect things. It's what is it to you, Jesus is saying. You must follow me. We just have to focus on following Christ. And I'm encouraged that I can keep going, that I can fight this sin with Jesus on my side. When I continue to spend time in scripture and in prayer and determination, I can overcome this, not on my strength, but because of Christ, because he doesn't give up on his people that he has called. And I know that he has called me, and so I can keep going and keep my focus on him. So leadership is hard because we look and compare And we're told here, don't, what is it to you? You must follow me. I've been like Moses and ran away and hid and felt so bad just to have God call me in a sweet way back to him and show me that actually it's okay. I'm going to restore you. I can use you. Just keep going with me. But we can overcome and we can keep going as leaders. And so I really wasn't sure about making this video, but through speaking this out to anyone out there, it has spoken to me and to my heart. And it is good to know that you've done a sin and to know that it's wrong, but it's also good to accept forgiveness and to work forward with him in his strength, in his power to overcome it. But just never give up. I really urge this on you, like never give up. If you are stuck in a sin cycle, if you are just caught up in the past in shame and guilt, and it is stopping you from serving the Lord, it's stopping you from speaking out, let that end today, because there are so many people in the Bible. Look at Saul's life. He was killing Christians, and yet God chose him and changed his life. Do you not think he would do that for you too? So if in my life I can make these videos and still be someone who has a sinful nature and who does give into sin sometimes and has to work on that and has to do that all the time, daily, put down my life so that I can take up my life in Christ, you can do it too. I really hope that today's video touches you in some way and encourages you in your walk, and to know that you are not alone.